Hello and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Mackenzie, and today we're going to be going right back into missing person cases for the state of Nevada. In the month of December, I did take a hiatus from that and was covering Jane and John Doe cases from the state of Nevada in a series called Docember. If you guys have not seen Docember, go ahead and check it out. And so without further ado, let's jump into today's case, which is on Anthony Bernard Franko. It was on May 8th, 1983, that Anthony Franko would be seen for the last time. He was a 10-year-old boy who was white with brown hair and brown eyes, and he went by the nickname Tony. So that is what we will refer to him as throughout the rest of the video. Tony was an only child and lived with his mom and stepfather, and it was early in the morning on May 8th when his mom would go into his room before she went to work, and she would lay out his clothes every single day for him, that way he could be wearing something presentable to school. And she went in, said he was still in his bed, and she got out his clothes, and then he started getting up and, getting ready to get dressed, and she left for work. Now, the stepfather was still home at the time, but wasn't really, paying attention because it was just a normal day. Tony was old enough to get himself dressed and knew what he needed to do in the morning. And his stepfather said that he heard the door open, and he figured that Tony went outside to go feed his pet rabbits, and then heard him leave again a little bit later, and he figured that was Tony leaving for school and nothing out of the ordinary. That day, though, Tony didn't make it to Lemon Valley Elementary. He didn't show up at all, and weirdly enough, the school never notified his mom that he wasn't there. As you guys know, because I'm sure all of you guys have been to school, when you miss school, or anytime I've ever been, and my siblings, and they will call your mom or dad, and they'll be like, oh, no, it'll be like an automated voice message. It'll be like, your child missed periods, blah, 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 or missed today from school. And that call never came through to Tony's parents. So after school every day, Tony would call his mother to let her know he got home safely, because he did have to walk to and from school because he wasn't in an acceptable distance for a school bus. And so he would just call his mom and be like, hey, I'm home safe, and that was it, and that's what he'd always done. It was no big deal. And she didn't get a call that day, and so she was like, okay, this is really weird, he never ever misses a call. So she waited until she got home from work, and he still wasn't home, and now it was dark out, and so she knew that she needed to call the police. She called the police and filed, obviously, a missing kids report because her child had been missing and was missing all day, but she didn't know that yet. And the cops decided that they were not going to do anything for Tony for a week. Now, in this time, it was more common to wait 24 hours before pursuing... Thank God that shut up. In this time, it was more common to wait 24 hours before pursuing a missing person case to give them, time to come back, which I still don't think that should have ever been a rule. So, not only were they going to wait these 24 hours when the first couple hours are the most crucial, but then they decided to wait a week because about a month prior, Tony had run away because his mom had gotten upset with him because of his report card. So Tony made himself a couple sandwiches, and he grabbed some dishes, and he kind of ran off in the mountains. He wrote his mom a little note saying he was so sorry and he loved her, and he had to go pretty much. When he returned a couple hours later, he was like, I'm so sorry, I love you, I'm never gonna do this again, and just felt so bad about leaving his parents. So this made the cops think that Tony had just run away again. But he had nothing to be upset over. Actually, the day prior, in a 4-H competition type thing, Tony had won a couple blue ribbons when he showed his 2 rabbits and his pony, and he was really excited about this, and he was actually going to be taking the ribbons to school to show his friends, but never made it to school. So for a little boy to be so excited about something and not have anything to be upset about at the time, it seems weird that he would want to run away. So that's pretty much been ruled out as a theory, because A, he was so young, and that's such a long time to be successfully missing as, just a young kid, or in general, it's a long time. And B, he had nothing to be upset over. He wasn't in any sort of trouble, so there was no reason for Tony to leave. A few months after Tony's disappearance, a tip came in that would lead officials to believe that Tony had been abducted. The tip said that they had remembered something that they previously thought is insignificant. They had seen Tony talking to an unknown person in a old rusted out Camaro or Pinto, and that he was in a cul-de-sac on the south side of Fremont Street. Now, if he was on the south side of Fremont Street, that means that Tony would have turned the wrong direction from his house. So instead of going to school, if school's over here, he went over here. If my face is his house, if that makes sense. So it's also kind of weird that he would go the wrong way. But cops believe that maybe he was going to stop at 7-Eleven or, you know, go do something in the morning. And it's not uncommon for a kid to just stop at a gas station real quick, especially if it's just another, you know, couple hundred feet that way. It wouldn't be like a big deal in his head. But his mom says that Tony was quite naive and that he would have talked to a stranger and not thought anything of it, which in reality made his chances of getting kidnapped much higher. Now, the person in this Pinto or Camaro has never been identified, has never come forward, and nothing relating to Tony has ever been found. He was wearing a red t-shirt with San Francisco 49ers written on the front, blue jeans, hiking boots, and a blue down jacket with a hood, so a pretty warm jacket. And none of that has ever been found. Like I said, nothing relating to Tony has ever been found, and it's been over 30 years now. Tony's mother and stepfather still celebrate his birthday every single year just to kind of remember their little boy, and his mother, of course, still wants answers. And she does believe that if this was a different time, like just a few years later with the Chia case, as I had covered on my channel, and in the Chia case, they jumped right on helping these children. They were, you know, doing all these mass searches and all these big billboards and doing so many things for these two children that they would never do for Tony because of just the simple time it was, and that in general really sucks. His mom is glad that things have changed, but she really wishes, you know, obviously that it had changed for her little boy. There is no telling what they would have been able to find if they didn't wait a week to start searching. And also too, if the school had called and said, oh, he didn't make it to school that day. There's so many different things in this case that could have made it so different, that he could have been found so much easier, possibly, you know, because if he was kidnapped and this person would have come forward much earlier, which I understand it can be so hard to think about those things. We see people all the time and you don't think anything of it because you don't know you're looking for someone yet. If the school had reported him missing, you know, the 8 hours earlier before his mom knew something was wrong, that's a long time. And then, as we know today, the first 48 hours are the most crucial in any case. And we would have already wasted 24 of them just based off normal protocol, and then the police department deciding to wait a week? That's just insane. Even if he was a runaway, he was still a child. He was 10 years old. I mean, what did they really expect for him to be able to do for himself? It wasn't right, in my opinion. I do understand that times were different, but I really wish that more could have been done for Tony, and I know that right now there are actually new people on his case that are re-interviewing people and going back through it and trying to find something for Tony, and I really hope that we get some sort of answers, some sort of breakthrough, something in his case. If you guys have any information about Tony or his disappearance, make sure you guys call the number that's in the description box down below. And of course, all my sources are going to be down in the description box, so you guys can check these out for yourself. I actually learned this week that the Doe Network also has a missing persons area, which is where I found Tony's case. And again, with how they had all their unidentified people, you can go to missing people and you can go geographical. It has a bunch of countries all over the world and then every state in the United States, and it's sorted by males and females. And so obviously I just went to Nevada and selected males, and this is what popped up. There's so many more cases of missing people and others that aren't actually on there yet. I think that they're kind of doing a system update, getting people on, because I know I've personally covered people here that aren't on there. So of course, if you guys have someone missing, make sure you guys check out the Doe Network. Make sure you guys look through these resources, and thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe and give the video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time.